Welcome to Healing with Her, the podcast where women in medicine share bold and honest conversations from the front lines of healthcare. Step into the world of Black women medical professionals as they unpack the power of healing, the weight of care, and the beauty of showing up whole.
Welcome to Healing with Her, the podcast where women in medicine share bold, honest, and healing conversations from the front lines of healthcare. I'm your host, Dr. Pamela Reed, and I'm thrilled you're back with us, and Happy New Year. Whether you're a healthcare professional, someone passionate about wellness, or someone who is looking to gain more knowledge about your own health and well-being, you'll find stories here that resonate, educate, and inspire. This podcast was born from a shared truth. Healing isn't just about medicine. It's about connection, listening, and leadership. And who better to lead those conversations than women physicians? The information shared on Healing with Her is intended for educational and informational purposes only. It is not a substitute for professional medical advice, diagnosis, or treatment. Always seek the guidance of your physician or qualified healthcare provider with any questions you may have regarding your health. The views expressed by the hosts and guests are their own and do not necessarily reflect those of their institutions or employers. So we've been on a short hiatus celebrating the holidays with our families. And so we'll go around and introduce ourselves again. I'm sure you remember us because we're very memorable. But we'll start with Dr. Neal.
So I am Dr. Melissa Neal. I am an ophthalmologist specializing in dry eye and aesthetic medicine.
I'm Dr. Jalise Sosa, a gynecologic surgeon at Kaleida Health.
I'm Dr. Pamela Reed, and I am an internist.
And I'm Dr. Teresa Rush. I'm also a gynecologic surgeon practicing at Audubon Women's Medical.
So we thought now that we are in the winter months and we lived here in the Northeast that we would kind of talk about the blues and how we can help you winter well. So when we talk about winter blues, you know, sometimes folks will say seasonal affective disorder. And so I wanted to kind of clear that up, right?
Okay.
We will discuss the winter blues, but first, seasonal affective disorder. Okay. So seasonal affective disorder is a major depressive disorder, right? It occurs fall, winter months, and really requires intervention by a healthcare provider, right?
Okay.
Should be diagnosed and treated by a healthcare provider. It's a type of mood disorder where you have depression for that period of time, months, depending upon where you live and what the weather is like, because both of these disorders are weather related. I should say light related, really, to be more specific.
Okay.
And so the seasonal affective disorder does require intervention by a healthcare professional, diagnosis and intervention. Winter blues is something different. So winter blues affects about 14% of the population. Seasonal affective disorder affects like 5% of the population.
Okay.
So those of us who live in climates like we do here in the Northeast will have a greater rate of both of them, actually, but certainly the winter blues. And what happens is we have less natural light. It's all caused by the lack of natural light, right? The decrease in natural light affects hormones. Your serotonin, which is, I always think of as your happiness hormone, and melatonin, which everyone is kind of familiar with in terms of a sleep hormone, right?
Okay.
And so the decrease in light affects that circadian rhythm of how you sleep and those hormones. So your serotonin levels will decrease, your melatonin levels will increase.
Okay.
And with a decrease in the serotonin, you have periods of feeling blue. And we're talking about winter blues, not seasonal affective disorder. We won't discuss that here in this podcast.
Okay.
You feel lethargic, you can feel a bit irritable, some decreased interest. We start to hibernate, right? Everybody wants to be home.
Okay.
And so those are the types of things that happen. And then, of course, the melatonin increase, which leads to fatigue, right? It's our sleep hormone, makes you want to sleep more. And so those are kind of the physiologic things that are happening with those hormones. And so with the winter blues, there are things that everyone should do, of course, and we'll talk about that. But I thought it would be interesting to kind of discuss what it is that each of us do to kind of combat those winter blues. So who would like to start?
You know, when we decided to have this topic, I started to think about it more and realize, some of the things I really enjoy doing during winter would be to really maximize whatever sunlight we do get. So even if it's cold outside, really dressing for the weather and trying to take a walk, trying to be outside that doesn't involve me being in my car driving to or from work or to a store, but really slowing down and maybe taking a walk around the block, a walk in the neighborhood. That matters even though it's cold. You're only cool for a little while. You dress well. It's good to breathe in that fresh air and get whatever sunlight we can get. The other thing I love to do, which sounds silly, is hang out with kids. They know how to enjoy this weather no matter what.
Yes.
And so play dates have been a big thing at my house lately. All these kids come over, then they want to go outside and sled and make snowballs and all this stuff. And it just brings back that childhood, that sort of childlike nature. And you just, again, it's cold, it's snow. But just seeing these kids enjoy that no matter what and engaging with them too has been really good. So the past few weeks I've been doing that, walks and lots of outside time with kiddos, and it really helps a little bit.
Good.
Yeah.
How about you, Dr. Neal?
So I now that you talk about it, I didn't realize that I was doing it to help myself feel better. But so, in the summer months, I might keep the blinds closed and things like that because, I don't have AC because we live up north. But I will, as soon as I wake up, I'll open the blinds. I have like my, plant, my pets are my plants. So I'm there with my plants to get that sunlight. And then I also, too, I will do walks, but my friend and I do kind of this more Scandinavian thing. We just accept that it's going to be cold. So we go out and do things anyway.
No matter what. Yeah.
No matter what. And we started this thing where we will walk to like our local like gym where they have a sauna. So we'll walk in the cold, we'll sauna and do a little swim, kind of like a cold, cold and then heat and then cold and heat. And then we'll walk back. And something about that makes me feel like it warms the bones and makes me feel better. So I do that. Just enjoying those cold
mix.
Walks. Yes, yes.
Yeah, you
Soothing,
naturally found something that you realized, oh, this makes me feel better.
Yes.
And so that's one of the things that you encourage people to do. Whatever it is that you do that makes you feel better, you chose it for a reason, right?
Okay.
And it affected those hormones. So, right, you both decided that you were going to get more sunlight. That affected those hormones.
Okay.
Right? So
I love how you said embrace the cold. It's going to be cold. We can't shy away from it. We all made life choices to be here.
that's right. We sure did.
And as such, we accept it, and our life doesn't end. When it's cold, we still have to do the things that we need to do and do things for fun. Once you embrace it and find ways to do that, I think that's helpful.
Most definitely. Dr. Rush, what is that you do to make yourself feel less blue in the winter?
Actually, the past few years have been interesting because when we moved to our new office, I specifically wanted these blinds that would let the sun in because by, I would say, September or October, you go in, it's dark, you leave the office, it's dark. And so I was like going, this has been for 20 years. I hate this. And so we have these blinds that, they let the natural light in.
Okay.
I try to get out as much as I can during the day, even if it is just to get to the car, do a little quick jolt around the parking lot. But I find that the light, bringing that in, really is helpful.
Makes a difference. Yeah.
I've done the same thing at my home. I have these blinds that lets the light in, but you can't see me. So you stand there, and it's wonderful.
Gotcha.
I even
So
find
sort of
that
one way. Like
yeah,
you
so
still have your privacy while the light
I still have my
cuts in.
privacy,
Yeah.
but it's still really light and bright. Even my cats love to sit on the back of the couch and they watch people go back and forth, and no one sees them.
Yeah.
But they are enjoying themselves. So I try to get as much natural light in. I also bump up my vitamin D. I tend to ride a little bit low on that, so I try to do a D3. For those of you who are not on blood thinners or any of that stuff, you can add the K2 with it. It just helps that calcium that comes into your system to go to your bones and not your arteries. So, so a D3, K2, and don't be like me. I remember when Rite Aid when they closed, I just picked up whatever I could find. And I looked and I went, oh, that's 5,000. I don't think I wanted that much.
No vitamin D overdose here.
Thank you. But, and I try to go out, with friends. Just, intentional things, so that you can get out of the house, because you tend to you get home from work and you're kind of like, ugh, you're locked in, it's cold. So getting out and just being with friends is really kind of nice also.
So I want to just pick up on two things that you said. One is we all think about our homes, but our office spaces, our workplaces,
Yes.
because we spend the majority of our daylight time, right, in our workspaces. So to make those workspaces spaces that have increased light, if you can, right, if there's some way that can happen in your workspace, that's a really good idea. And that might be if you can have a UV light, and it's you just need it for 20 minutes a day. Sometimes at the beginning of your workday, that might be helpful. If you're in an office space or someplace I shouldn't say just an office space, a workspace that's dark. So that's one thing to think about. And then the other one was your comments about taking vitamin D. And I just wanted to point out that vitamin D, the majority of our vitamin D comes through our skin, right? And so those of us with darker skin tend to have lower vitamin D. And so it's actually probably a good idea to do some type of vitamin D supplement during the winter months when you're not getting that sun, right? You're all covered up. You have darker skin, you're all covered up. There's no way for any sunlight to get in, even if you're out and about. So a vitamin D supplement is not a bad idea, actually, and is sometimes recommended. So myself, I make sure that I like to sleep with blackout blinds. Like I'm really sensitive to light.
Okay.
And so the first thing I do in the morning is to open those blinds so that any type of sunlight will come through. And like you say, having light filtering shades to let that sunlight come in. You still have privacy, but you have that sunlight come in. And what I always do during the winter months is I try to do something creative, right? I try to learn something new. And I try to, because I'm home anyhow, do some type of decluttering because, right, all of us can do some decluttering. And the other thing I do is I like to wear something with color, right?
Okay.
Everybody tends to wear black, brown, gray, beige. And so I have a bright red coat, or I'll put on a sweater that has a pop of color, something with color. But the creative thing, one of my passions is interior design. And so I might create something from my home, like a plaster work or macrame something.
Oh, wow.
Or switch out all my photos in my house, right, of my family, just like do different, like that kind of thing. Decluttering, we all hate doing. And so what I usually will do is pick that one thing that needs decluttering, one thing at a time. And I just spend an hour doing that because really, who wants to do that all day? Nobody wants to do that all day. I just spend an hour doing that. And then learning something new. So right now I'm learning about AI because I don't know anything about AI.
Same. I'm learning.
Teach us what you know.
Right. So I'm learning. So I'm doing like the master class series. I
nice.
got a subscription, half price, and they have all these different things. And so I decided AI, because really AI is everywhere and everybody's talking about it and using it. And I'm like, I don't know anything about this. I mean, I use generative AI to search for vacation spots. That's like the most that I do with it, right?
Yes.
Boutique hotel inn.
Which is probably good because sometimes you need to that's another thing I do is get out go somewhere where there's lots of sun.
Yeah.
So that, use your AI
You could
to plan that kind of.
You could take a drive south, someplace warmer. You could fly somewhere. Yeah.
Yeah. Someplace just to break up the if you have the privilege to do that, right? To be able to travel someplace or have family that you can sponge
Just
off
go
of,
Yes.
or even if it's for like even if it's for like a long weekend someplace warm.
I remember one time going to Mumford Village. I think on the other side of Rochester. I just needed a weekend where no one could find me, and I was just relaxing in a bed and breakfast. And I can remember backing out of my driveway. My husband was standing there. Both cats were on either side of him, and they were looking at me. Where are you going? And I'm like, out. So there's so many things that we could possibly do.
Right.
I mean, we have Canada to the
Even
the
colder?
north of us. I mean, so yes, it would be absolutely fantastic to find some place warm and just get away. But honestly, if you could find an indoor hotel that has a nice swimming pool, along with the wings,
right.
Yeah,
you
a
could do
hot tub.
something,
Yeah.
just to get away, be out of the environment, and just relax for a little bit.
Yeah.
Get a massage.
Yeah.
And you can pick spaces in your community that have lots of light. Like here in Buffalo, we have the AKG, right?
That's true.
The museum, which has all those amazing windows, right?
Yeah.
It has a public space that anyone can use. You don't have to pay. You can just go sit in the public space, and there's lots of light and stimulation, right? So for everyone, so sort of the things that are recommended is exercise, right?
Okay.
We should all be exercising. And, every time you say exercise to people, they're like, but you pick whatever physical activity. And so that's what I should say. Instead of exercise, physical activity. Some form of physical activity, and make it fun, right? So go to a dance class, right? Learn a new sport, like take up boxing. I mean, ice skating, if you're not like me, who would never even think about getting on a pair of ice skates because I can't even walk in a 2-inch heel. But that's outside. So some activity that takes you outside so that you're getting light and engaging. And so that's the other thing that you mentioned, going out with friends. You mentioned going out with friends. Socialization is so important. So that's one of the other things that I do. I just have friends over, right? You don't have to make it a big deal. And, that used to be a thing back in the day,
Yes.
right? People would just pop in. Now everybody wants everything to be perfect.
Yeah.
Like, I got to do this. I got to clean my house. I have to present it this way, this, and this. Although you all know that I'm an entertainer. I like to
Yes.
but I have friends over.
Yeah.
Right? Everybody can bring something. You can sit down and keep connected. And socialization is really important. So physical activity, socialization, these are things that are recommended for everyone, right?
Okay.
Vitamin D supplementation, plus or minus. And then, of course, healthy eating.
Yeah.
And really, this time of year, I'm a big farm to table person. And this time of year, like finding produce that's like in season fresh is difficult. But then you experiment. So this then another thing you can do is like get a cookbook and start doing something different, like learn a new cuisine, right? But something that's a learning thing, right? So you're learning something new and using a new skill. And so it's really kind of engaging in all of those types of activities that also lead to growth, right? And new skills is kind of what I've always recommended to patients who have the winter blues. And it's recommended in general for people to do to combat those.
So and this is because I don't know, but the question, so is it the lack of light leads to, does the decrease in vitamin D cause all that decrease in those hormones you talked about? Or what is it that the sunlight also is helping with those other hormones as well that we don't know about normally?
Exactly. So really it's a change in circadian rhythm caused by the lack of light.
Gotcha.
Right. And then the change in circadian rhythm leads to the changes in those hormones.
Okay.
So that's really, and so it's that natural light. And I know people will have heard about using a UV light.
I was going to ask about the
light
light box and stuff.
Yeah.
Does that help?
It certainly does. And it's not, you don't have to sit under it for a long period of time. 20 minutes a day is sufficient. Of course, natural sunlight is best,
be better,
but we can't always do that here.
Guarantee,
We can't guarantee it. I just realized I read something. We're like, we live in Buffalo, New York, for those of you who are watching us and don't know that. We're the fourth gloomiest city in the United States in terms of numbers of hours of sun, of light. Seattle is number 2. But can you imagine? I didn't know that. I just assumed that we would not be that. I know it's gloomy sometimes, but
that's wild.
but yeah, we're like.
I think Buffalo
4.
summers make up for it, though.
It's gorgeous here.
Yes,
Absolutely.
I think one thing, just sort of to the get out of the house thing. There's so many activities here too that we need to utilize. Or what is it? Step Out Buffalo. There's What's Happening in Buffalo Today. I forget the official sites, but this weekend there is going to be a family silent disco. So you'll at I forget the name of the place. It begins with R. Down where the silos are. But there are things like that are happening, right? So Canal Side, you could go skating. There's so many different places to go skating. You could, there are lots of things happening in the city still. I think we do a good job also of having those activities available. So just look for them. And many of them are free or low cost. So the Family Fun event this weekend, I believe, is free. You just have to register to go. And you could take your kids and the whole family could go. You put on these headphones and you could go on different channels and you play your music and everybody's dancing there and cool disco lights. And things like that. We're outside, we're doing physical activity, you're socializing with others.
Right.
All in one.
Everything in one. Yes.
Right.
Yes.
My sister is an avid gardener.
Mm.
And when we lived in Connecticut for a while, it was interesting. Her plants were her babies. And thank you.
Amen.
And she literally had these lights. She had these lights that during the wintertime that she had set right in the entranceway to our apartment for the plants. Mm. But they were great to just sit there in the chair next to it and kind of read or do whatever, because you had these lights that gave you natural lighting with it, which was fantastic. The other thing is trying to do something, as you said, something different.
Yes.
And I don't ski. The 2 or 3 times I've tried, it's been a disaster, especially downhill. So I've always wanted, and I think this is the year that I'm really going to do that, seeing that I'm not doing the obstetrics any longer. And I want to do the snowshoeing.
Yes.
Because we have so many parks here.
Exactly.
In Buffalo.
Again,
the
free
Buffalo
things.
area and some of these, the prices, if you look on them, range. And sometimes you can just get creative with what you put on your feet.
Yes.
But it gets you outside. And it's something different. And you're exercising.
And you're
at the same
exercising.
time.
Yes.
Yes.
So,
Yeah.
I think one theme we're establishing is winter might be the time to do something different, something you're not accustomed to doing. Instead of just being at home, learn something new, explore some place new, explore with new people, and that could help us get those blues away.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. And like you said, there's so many resources to check
Really
for
are, yeah.
activities.
Just Google happening in Buffalo today.
Yes.
You know, read the Challenger. The radio, there's always something on the radio talking about an event. Just go out. Even you might find somebody there that you know, and then you guys hang out, or you meet somebody new.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. To
Yeah.
build those social
Yeah.
connections. Absolutely.
But just don't hibernate like the animals.
I think I think that's like definitely the socialization. And I think since COVID, I think people are more detached. So I think we're going to have to make an effort, all of us to say, because it got so easy, like, people, like after COVID was over, I think people just going out to dinner was 30% less. I know things are more expensive now, but there's a lot of free, like you're saying, a lot of free events. And if you want to go, because I love snowshoeing or even cross country skiing,
there you go.
I'll take you, because I'm always wanting. Even you can just get spikes on your boots
on your
and go.
shoes,
We can go to the flame. I am one of those, where they say black people don't ski, or black. I grew up in Texas, and we took it was this black church. They wanted. I didn't know we were unique, but I learned to ski in Breckenridge, Colorado. So we all these Texas people trucked to Colorado and learned how to ski. So I love cold things. So I'm looking for people who I can indoctrinate.
Yeah.
Yes, because it's fun.
Right.
It's a lot
And
of fun.
That sounds like fun.
Okay.
As I said, I've only been skiing a few times, and for some reason, it's just been.
Well, downhill is a little bit like I learned when I was 13. I remember doing black, diamonds. Then when I was 19, my dad took me, and I got up. I was like, oh, okay. I went up on the hill. I was like, what in the heck? I was like, who did I think I was? So now I like those.
An Olympian.
Yes, I did. I like snowshoeing, and I like cross country. I like those things, or even tubing. Like if you like just fun stuff where I'm not going to die or break my neck.
Thank you. What's interesting? I just got an email and from church, and they said a senior Bible study. And initially I was like, senior? I don't see myself as being senior.
I'm not senior.
Yeah. But the whole concept of still connecting,
Yeah.
whether what church, synagogue, wherever you worship at, because we've talked about our physical health and what we can do with our diets, with exercise, with socialization, that the psychological part of our being, but that spiritual part is very important also, and just realizing that we have others around us, a community of other like-minded, believing individuals who can really encourage each other.
Yes.
Yeah. So, but I probably won't go to the senior one.
Because you're not a senior, so why ever
Amen,
would you?
sister.
I feel as gynecologist, we know the seniors are having fun, so there's nothing wrong
With being
with going to
senior.
the senior one. Yeah. I think we all just need to commit to embracing winter,
Absolutely.
doing something new during winter, get outside, and don't neglect our bodies while doing so.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Well, this was fun. It's great to
Yeah.
like catch up and
Yes.
just
See
see
everyone
New
again.
Year.
Yeah,
So
again.
once again, socialization.
Yeah.
Here we are
Yeah.
socializing. So I just wanted to reiterate kind of what everyone needs to do, right? Everyone needs to get light exposure, some form of physical activity, a consistent sleep routine, healthy eating, socialize, and consider vitamin D. So that brings us to the end of our episode of Healing with Her, Wintering Well. We hope you found the information enlightening and empowering. Please subscribe to our podcast on YouTube, follow and like us on Instagram, and share with everyone you know.
Thank you.
The information shared on Healing with Her is intended for educational purposes and informational purposes only. I like to reiterate, it is not a substitute for professional medical advice, diagnosis, or treatment. Always seek the guidance of your physician or other qualified healthcare provider with any questions you may have regarding your health. The views expressed by the host and guests are their own and do not necessarily reflect those of their institutions or employers. Thanks for joining us.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Happy New Year.